Okay, so hello everyone. Today I will be teaching you about plurality slash popular voting. Um, this is one of the most common types of voting systems that we have in America. It's the one that we use when voting in November for our president, and it's pretty efficient. That's why we still use it, but it does have its flaws, just like any other voting system, because at the end of the day, there's just not going to be a voting system that isn't flawed, but this is the most efficient and most consistent. So we continue to use it today. Okay, how these voting systems work. Plurality is an electoral system in which each voter is allowed to vote for one candidate, and the candidate with the most votes is elected. Um, yeah, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Popular voting is an indirect election and is the total number of votes received in the first phase election as opposed to the votes cast by those elected to take part in the final election. Okay, next. The Electoral College and examples. The Electoral College is a body of people representing the states of the U.S. who formally cast votes for the election of president and vice president. For an example, um, the the electoral college and popular vote can be different. So you could win the electoral college vote but lose the popular vote, and that's actually happened a couple of times. Examples in which this happened is most recently with Trump and the president before Barack Obama, George W. Bush. They both did not win the popular vote, but they won the electoral college. And I mean that's one of the flaws in the voting system, because the fact that you can win the electoral college but then someone else could win the popular vote and then you still get elected because you won the electoral college is just like, it's seen as a problem. The pros and cons of plurality voting. It's easily understood by voters is one pro. The second one would be it provides a quick decision. And three, it's less costly to do compared to other methods. So other voting systems probably cost more money than plurality. So that's another reason they just stick to plurality. One of the cons would be in an election with more than two candidates, it can result in the election of a candidate who only received a minority vote. Another con would be when you vote in plurality, it kind of puts pressure on you because you may not like the front runner because you only get one vote. You may not like the front runner and you may have like a favorite, but you vote for the front runner just because they're the front runner. So it makes you not vote for who you think or who is your favorite, because your favorite may not be winning, but you ended up voting for the front runner because you're just going to go with the front runner. So by you only having one vote, it kind of puts you in a weird position. Um, how COVID-19 impacted voting in America. COVID-19 has made Americans choose between protecting their health and staying home or exercising their right to vote. So right now we're advised to stay home and to not have any contact with other people and to stay 6 feet away and stuff like that. But a lot of people still want to vote, and that's still their right to vote. We can't take that away from them, even though there's a pandemic going on. So it puts people in a weird spot. Some people are just going to stay home. Other people are going to exercise their right to vote, and that's just what it's going to be. In Wisconsin, 19 people tested positive for COVID-19 directly from in-person voting. So, like I said before, regardless of the pandemic, people are still going to want to vote and exercise their right. And as shown in Wisconsin, 19 people got COVID-19, got corona because of going in person and actually voting. 2/3 of Americans chose to vote by mail in November 2020, and 58% want the rule changed permanently. So, due to Corona and due to COVID-19, 2/3 of Americans are choosing to vote by mail in November, just so they don't have to do the person contact and like be around other people. And half of the half of the population, excuse me, half of the population want to change the rule permanently, so there would actually be no more in-person voting, and everything would just be done by mail. I personally think that it's a good idea for now, but I don't think it should be changed forever. Because I mean, I don't think COVID-19 is gonna last forever, so it would just be pointless to completely change it forever. I think. Um, Improvements slash suggestions for plurality voting. The biggest suggestion or improvement I would add is allowing voters to choose two candidates, because oftentimes, as I explained earlier, oftentimes what happens in plurality voting is the voter chooses the front runner and abandons their favorite candidate. By allowing them to choose two candidates, they will be allowed to choose their favorite and the front runner. This is similar to border count voting. In border count, you're able to choose two candidates of your choosing. So, yeah, I think that's really the only thing you can suggest for plurality voting. Oh, there's not really much you can do or say to change that, because the biggest problem in plurality voting is the fact that voting for your favorite versus voting for the front runner. So if you give people the option to vote for two, they'll get the satisfaction of voting for their favorite, and they'll also be able to vote for the front runner. So that eliminates that problem completely. Um, yeah. And let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it on plurality voting. As I said before, I think it's the most efficient voting system, and I think it's the best one that we do have, because it's the most efficient and costs less, and that's why we continue to use it today. I think the second best one would probably be board account, just because of the fact that you get to vote for more than two candidates. I mean, more than one candidate. So it eliminates the front runner and favoritism idea. So yeah.